Tell me it gets better. Say that it gets better. O.P.S. I'm gay-ish.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish.
The podcast that Helen Keller called unlistenable.
Yeah, no, it's just true. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
And we're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today, we're going to talk about cruising.
And you might already know that if you heard our turn as guest stars on the X-Rated Movies podcast. So that
Oh, you drunk.
No, this is normal me.
Okay, great.
And I am acting. We were on X-Rated Movies podcast called X-Rated because they are X's, not because of good reasons. And we talked about the movie Cruising.
With Al Pacino.
Directed by Freakin'.
Freakin'.
And now we're going to talk about the act of cruising.
But first,
I
I wanted to talk about a couple of news things, of course, as always. The first is that, so Imagine Dragons' Dan Reynolds is a super ally, has been for a while, and he is in a Twitter fight with Eminem because apparently Eminem, on one of the tracks on his new album, raps, quote, "Tyler, create nothing. I see why you called yourself a faggot, bitch." So Dan Reynolds is saying that, quote, "It's never okay to say a word that's filled with hate. I don't care what year you were born in or what meaning it has to you. If it contributes to hate and bigotry, then it's hateful, period. There is never an okay time to say the word faggot. I don't care who you are." And we've had a disagreement about this in the past, right? Like I've even started using that word on occasion because of your horrible influence on my life.
But it's in spite of how you feel about it, not...
Yes.
You haven't changed how you felt about it?
No, I'm uncomfortable with that word.
Oh, okay.
And
that's what makes you a faggot.
great. Thanks, Kyle.
No problem. I read a little bit about this.
Okay.
And I do think, like a lot of things, when you look at the surface, it's, you know, it's like Eminem, of course, like homophobic stuff. So Eminem's in the wrong. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying there's a little bit more nuance. When I read a little bit about this, I don't know who Tyler, the Creator, is.
No, I have no idea.
He is...
Tyler, the Creator, is a person.
Yeah, he's a internet person that creates stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Tell us who that is, listeners.
Tyler, if you're listening. Hello.
Great.
And then, yeah, so like Tyler, the Creator himself has very like loudly proclaimed that he is a faggot and like says that word. It's that's not giving someone permission to use it, but I think it's a little bit more like there's a little bit more depth than people imagine just based on the headline.
Yeah. Okay. You're trying to justify using that word. That's fine.
I'm not justifying. I'm just pointing out that I mean, what I'm pointing out is like the sensational headlines that you read. Like, it's not that clear cut, and there's
fake
a little.
news.
It's not fake. It's like technically correct, but it just overly generalizes a complex situation.
Okay. All right.
Wait, why? What are your feelings about it?
I really I understand and am enamored by. I understand and am enamored by the idea that we should reclaim words, that they only have power because somebody has decided that they have power, and that we can make them equally powerful in the opposite direction by just owning it.
Yeah.
I get that. I think a lot of that has happened with the N-word in African-American culture, for instance. I think that change is painful and uncomfortable, and I grew up in a world where saying that word out loud to anybody would land you in detention.
Yeah. Although, like, what's interesting about that, I totally get that. Like, yeah, you've been conditioned for so much of your life that is a horrible word, and like the idea of retraining yourself. But like, also, people were trained, not at their own fault, that being gay was gross and disgusting and against nature. So like, they need to relearn and understand what's correct now. But like, it's actually a really similar idea that like, that's why you need to cut people a little bit of slack of like, and understanding the context of when you grow up is important, because there are people that grew up for, you know, my parents until I came out, they were some number of years old for sure. And they had that number of years hearing that gay people are gross and against nature and disgusting. So they have to like relearn it, and that takes time and it's painful. So
It's like when my dead grandparents used to say how much they loved Orientals. You have to give them a pass.
a little bit, maybe not a pass, but just a little bit of like understanding of where they're coming from.
All right. The next item I had for news, Karamo
From Queer Eye. One of the ones that does something.
Apparently, so he posted a video just a while ago, August 30th, that said that 12 years ago he was sitting on his couch and attempted to commit suicide.
Wow, I didn't hear that.
It's a big emotional thing where he talks about it and says, I made it, and if you're going through something, you can make it too. And I'm really just wondering if, it's because we were mean to him.
You think us being mean to him made him commit suicide?
Yeah.
Or try to?
Yeah, we went back in time and gave him a copy of our episode where we talk shit about him.
No, you talk shit about him. I defended him.
Great, whatever.
You don't put this on me.
Okay, no, Kyle.
We
did this.
This is not a we.
And
I get in trouble for some of the things you say so often.
I know.
That I need to fight you about
I
it.
love it. The audience clearly just wants you to be the terrible one, and I'm down with it.
Yeah.
Kidding aside, I think that's really great that not only a gay person who's out and proud and visible, but a gay person of color is talking about mental health. I think that's fantastic.
And like sharing, that has to be one of the darkest moments of your life. And to share that with people is very vulnerable and revealing. And it actually makes me think about a big news story was a 9-year-old that committed suicide.
Oh God.
Because he came out and all the kids at his school started bullying him.
Remember when we used to submit ourselves to the comedy section?
No, like that.
My favorite thing of that actually is the meme going around about all the people asking, like, how did he know he was gay? How did this 9-year-old know that he was gay? And the response being like, instead of asking how did he know he was gay, why don't you ask how the other 9-year-olds knew that he needed to be bullied?
100%. Yes. I've seen that too. And it's, that story really like got to me. And I mean, anything just based on my history of like, you know, in a bad mental health place, depression, suicidal thoughts, all that like really affects me. So
you're an emotional 9-year-old.
I stopped developing then, but yeah. So that is just like the more people like Karamo that can come out, talk about their mental health, and you know, then be a source of positivity to other people, is just really important.
Yeah. Thanks, Karamo.
Thanks.
I stand by what I said last time about you, but I'm sorry you had to go through that. And I'm glad that you're making life better for other people who are trying to.
Yeah.
Great. Last but not least, the state of California passed a historic resolution last week that affirms the rights of intersex people. They said that it is state policy to officially condemn unnecessary surgery on intersex babies to quote unquote correct the child's genitals.
That's awesome.
The resolution urges the medical profession to delay medically unnecessary genital surgeries on intersex babies. And this is the first time that a state has gone on record supporting the intersex community and opposing these surgeries. The idea being that you should wait until the child is old enough to have a gender identity to do any corrective surgery, if any is even necessary in the first place.
That's crazy that we have to be like, yes, scientifically, they were literally born how they were born and let them keep being born that way until like maybe other, like, I want to know. Okay. This is, well,
yeah,
I only think about myself.
Great.
In lots of situations.
Are you intersex?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Otherwise, they constructed a fabulous penis out of what they were given. So, it just made me think about any kind of genital mutilation at birth reminds me
like
of
circumcision,
which is like, we need to stop. Just because you think foreskin is gross or dirty, like we need to stop cutting that shit off. But like,
or if you think foreskin is gross and dirty, you're probably wrong about that. You have been conditioned and lied to.
Yeah, totally. Like people using faggot.
Before surgery, we had foreskin for a long ass time.
Yep.
And everything was great. People kept having babies.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, that I made it about me, but like intersex community, like it's long overdue that people just start recognizing them as a valid gender and a valid like group of people that are just born exactly how they were born, and that may not even like that's not a problem.
Yep. Intersex advocate Sean Saifa Wall said, quote, "Intersex bodies are beautiful. People should have the right to choose, to bodily autonomy, to reproductive integrity. But the immediate work to be done is to educate people on what it means to be intersex." And that's where we're starting.
Yeah, like the right to make decisions about your own body, like does that extend all the way to the day you were born, you know?
Probably.
Yes. The answer is yes, but apparently we're still wrestling with that.
Yep. What do you got?
I just wanted to reach into our listener twit bag to talk about one tweet that we've got. Like I said last time, I feel like we've been getting a ton of like very nice things that make us
Again,
both
stop
cry.
making me cry in public, you assholes.
Stop being so nice. We don't want it. Keep doing it. It's great. No, someone said on Twitter, which our Twitter is @Gayish Podcast. In case anyone else has something nice to say. The only problem with your pod is you make me look like a lunatic. When someone walks by me, they see me giggling. 3 minutes later, I'm crying. 3 minutes later, I'm staring into space, nodding my head, saying, "Yeah, me too, man."
Yeah.
So that is very sweet. That is from @DonaldGoldKY, who I assume loves KY jelly.
For sure. Or Kentucky.
No. It's definitely KY jelly. That's the only thing it could be.
I wonder if there is... Like, can you get KY jelly in Kentucky? Because it seems like the kind of place
Where it's banned.
where it's banned.
Jelly of any sort is homosexual and will not be condoned by this state.
You want to talk about cruising?
Sure.
Okay, great. So we're going to take a break.
We're going to take a break.
When we come back from the break, we're going to have the boys from X-Rated Movies on.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about...
should we say their name, or are they just X-rated movies?
I don't know. Do they have names?
I don't know. Well, hold on. We'll ask them during the break.
Okay, great.
Ryan Weadon and Matt Fisher, the hosts of X-Rated Movies, we'll have them on, and we'll talk about cruising.
Great.
Did I hear whispering? Did I say someone's name wrong?
Weadon.
I just said that it's on your notes, no doubt.
It's not. I knew your names myself from my own knowledge. Wait, but really, did I say Wheaton wrong?
No, it was right.
Yeah, fuck you, Matt.
Great. Should we take a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
We're back. We're here with these guys.
Yeah, we're here with them.
Whoever we are.
Matt and Ryan, do y'all want to say hi so people know your voices?
No. Hi.
Nope. All right, great.
I'm Ryan Weadon,
And I'm Matt Fisher.
and we're here on your podcast.
Yeah.
We're two guys that used to date. Now we don't. Now we talk about movies, and occasionally we guest on other people's podcasts.
Yeah, so you've been ours talking about exes, and now we're talking about cruising.
Can't believe you invited us back. I'm very excited.
But it was
After the shit show that we were last time, yeah, I'm a little surprised myself.
we just wanted to get drunk, so we invited y'all on because we knew it was going to work.
Now, be real with us. How many people have you? How many repeat guests have you had on the podcast?
Oh, I got in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but like I said that Doug, our favorite fag stag, was the first repeat guest, and then your brother texted me with a list that was like, well, I mean, he included himself: Murph Johnson, Ma Johnson. Maybe those are the only.
All right.
But-
Not including people from Mike's
In Mike's
family
family?
or the people that you've slept with. How many repeat guests?
I don't think have I fucked anyone that's been on our podcast?
I mean, I only just did this weekend for the first time, so...
We're gonna breeze past that.
Okay, great.
Doug and I had that one weird night where I accidentally touched his butt, but that didn't count.
How about this? You are the only people with a podcast that have been on more than once.
All right.
Oh.
I'll take that badge. Wear it prominently
Achievement unlocked.
on my lapel.
Okay, so I'm going to start out talking about cruising by laying as much groundwork as I can about cruising through numbers.
Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Mike.
What's cruising?
Oh, well, I didn't actually write the definition down.
He's got a Webster's open in front of him now.
Cruising.
Best part about being gay.
CrossFit.
Yeah, so the idea of cruising is like, I mean, people used to think about this as, you know, you go to certain parks or certain bathrooms, and like as long as you kind of did what you were supposed to, whether that was tap your foot in the right way or look at someone in the right way, then you'd get to hook up, and whatever that means to you. So it could be a beach, could be an HJ, could be a fucking...
A bloppy J.
A what?
That's a blowjob.
A bloppy.
A bloppy J?
Yeah, why not?
Wow, is that where they don't swallow? They just hold it in their mouth?
Sure.
A jabloppy?
Yeah, and then they recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance. Rule of fag.
Or they sing the national anthem,
Sure.
which explains Fergie's performance.
I didn't think... Okay, we're not getting into this.
Okay, great.
We can't have this fight again. Okay, so I was trying to look at like data on this, and not very widely studied. So I found a 2006 study by...
You saw a 1980 movie that studied in-depthly?
I did. It was an in-depth documentary following Al Pacino and his road to...
Oh, that wasn't a documentary.
Yeah, you might have to throw that data out.
Okay.
That datum out. Just one piece of datum.
One datum. No, so we did, but we already mentioned, we talked about it on your podcast. Stop trying to plug your junk early. Okay, so
I'm always accused of that.
in this study, I couldn't find the full study. So they said the results said quote, findings indicate that cruising for sex on a college campus simultaneously presents challenges to and supports the health of gay and bisexual men. Which that's not super helpful. It's good and bad in different ways. So I had to go back further to 1997. I'm mostly just explaining why I'm using data from 1997, because there's like nothing that I could find.
And this study was just full of Macarena references and Spice Girl. like
Britney.
I wish. Okay, 1997. Mike, where were you in 1997?
The beginning or the end?
I don't know.
It was a whole year.
It was a whole year. Tell me about it.
Yeah, depending on which part, I could have been at the end of 6th grade or the beginning of 7th
Never
grade.
mind.
Oh, God. Okay, I was
take
a
back-
sophomore in college, okay? I was in college.
Okay, great. Jesus.
This study applies to you. Were you consulted on this study?
I probably was.
Okay.
I probably was.
The most basic questions take so much energy. Okay, so...
But I mean, Mike would have been cruising around at like straight bars.
That's true.
Okay.
He did the wrong kind of cruising.
It's before I joined the fraternity, but I was on like AOL or some shit, and I went on a gay date in 1997.
What?
Wow. Did they have the hairstyle with like the parted curtains?
Did you look like Skeet Ulrich? Is what Ryan is asking.
That's my question.
I know.
Scream reference. No one knows.
All these
Great.
people
Except for
are-
Ryan.
Okay. Their podcast about movies. Ours is not. Okay. So, this study was called The Differential HIV Risk in Bathhouses and Public Cruising Areas, both outdoor... Oh, and it includes both outdoor cruising and bathhouses. So that was the best I could find. And also, obviously, like apps and like that's changed things. So we'll just have to put our late 90s hats on. So...
Well, and it's the late 90s,
So it
AIDS
looks like
is-
a hat from a Jamiroquai video.
Yeah, mine's felt and it goes really tall and it's green and purple.
I have my Four Non-Blondes hat over here.
Great. We're all ready. AIDS is still scary. I mean,
People are-
anytime, but like in 97. So yeah, it's still a thing. There's no PrEP. So the breakdown, even though I know this is the late 90s, I was still very surprised by the numbers. So it broke down based on age, and it goes like the younger you are, the more likely you are to have visited a bathhouse or an outdoor cruising spot. If you're 18 to 25, 2/3 of people had been to one of those.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know, that's a lot. Like, even,
Makes sense.
does it?
I mean,
people who were
hear-
18 to 25 in 1997.
yeah. If
Yeah.
it wasn't for like a manhunt or something like that, like
Gay.com.
I
was
probably
the
would
first-
have gone a lot earlier. Yeah.
You've probably heard of them at that point and you're like, I'm out. Like, let's get this going.
Yeah, you're like, it's harder to come out at that time. and
This
you wanna-
56K modem just isn't getting my dick wet.
And then 26 to 35 is 58%. It kind of goes slowly down from there until when you're greater than 56, 38%. So even when you're like late 50s, a third of you are still out there fucking, which is good news for me. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how like it correlates to like acceptance of like being out and gay. Because like if you were gay in the 50s, you probably just like married a woman and like toughed it out.
And also maybe didn't want to admit that you've gone to these things. There might still be a stigma going
probably
on.
less likely to admit to an anonymous study that you have participated in, homosexual activities.
That's very true. Yeah.
Or you had plastic surgery, so you'd look like your boyfriend, Liberace.
Yeah.
All of these are possible of the study.
I also have my toilet sink down into the ground and covered up by a trapdoor when I'm not using it.
Okay, so as education goes up, the rate at which people cruise goes down.
What?
Or does the rate in which someone's education go up? It's correlated by the amount that they lie.
More likely
and know
to
that they
lie?
can get away with it.
Wow, we're very much questioning the
I saw
study
a
through-
movie where a Columbia law professor got murdered at a cruising spot, so I'm
That's
just
true.
calling this whole thing into question.
So, that Columbia law professor's proof. Another thing, white people have the lowest likelihood of cruising. And
What?
Not based on the raw data I've seen.
And Asian people have the highest rate of cruising.
Also surprising. Why am I surprised by that? What does that say about me?
No.
Yeah.
Racist.
I really thought that cruising was a white people thing and only a white people thing. And I think that that's based in this idea that it's kind of dangerous, and the kind of danger you might be in is the police noticing, and people of color are smarter than that. They know that they might die if they get caught by the cops.
Or that if they do get killed or something worse happens in their tryst, that it might not be investigated by the police.
Yeah.
It might just be kind of brushed over.
Well, I took this as the more mainstream you get, so the more you're able to be accepted for who you are, the less likely you are to cruise. So like the more outcast of society, you're not able to have the authentic relationship you want to have that's accepted by people, the more likelihood you're going to seek sex outside.
I think the amount of parental shame you would get being caught cruising plays into this. Like, if you're just like a white dude like me, like the amount of parental shame, whereas, stereotypically speaking, like the amount of shame that you would get if you were, Middle Asian or something like that is a lot higher than just being an average white person.
Maybe.
I'm really just going off that episode of Queer Eye where it was like the Indian dude like hadn't told his parents that he didn't graduate college, and Tan was like, oh my God.
It's all over.
Speaking as like a Pakistani person, those parents are going to be pissed.
Other things, if you're single, you were 62% of them would cruise.
And no partners, right? That's 0%.
Partnered, 100% monogamous, no cruising ever. No,
Right.
43% likely.
Monogamous or coupled?
It just said partnered.
Okay.
And by the this study was done at a time where you couldn't even get you just were
Non-monogamy,
roommates.
yeah.
So was it have you ever cruised, or is it do you currently right now cruise, and do you have a boyfriend?
Are you currently blowing me? Yes or no? Yes, that's what you think is a blowjob? No, it was like in the
100% of Kyle said yes.
I'm the 1% that was unintelligible. No. So I think this was like in the past 6 months or a year or something like that.
Okay.
Wow.
The good news is that sex is good. No, is that
I disagree.
You heard it here first, folks. Breaking news.
it just feels so good on your genitals. Okay, no, most of those that were visiting sex venues, so cruising areas, bathhouses, did not engage in the risky sexual behaviors. So we think about those people as being more likely to engage in risky things, drugs, those kinds of things. But and while that's, the case in general, but they weren't that much more likely. So let's see, when it said like the 15 or 20% of people that had done drugs, most of those were poppers, which like your brain will be
That's
fine.
VCR cleaner.
Yeah.
It's not really a drug.
You'll recover.
I'm not a fan of poppers.
I'm not, because like I don't maintain an erection.
Oh.
Like I can't, like after
Like you get too loose that just like...
Yeah, it just it doesn't happen.
It just gives me a big old headache. Like
Yeah.
every time I've done
the
them,
hangover from it's not fun.
I'm sorry, is everyone here not a fan of poppers except me?
Look, in the moment, I think they're great.
Yeah, for like 40 seconds.
But I don't know, the bill, once the bill comes, it's kind of like, this is a little expensive.
Yeah, it's like getting the bill after you eat. You're like, I'm not hungry now. Why did I order all this food?
It's really helpful for me as someone with a very tiny butthole and anxious state of
I remember that episode of the
personhood.
podcast, yeah.
Thank you. It's very helpful to me.
Okay.
That's not part of what we're talking about, though. Check out our episode about poppers coming later.
Wait,
Probably.
wait, was that episode all on your tiny butthole, or was it on poppers?
Wait.
You didn't see episode whatever, My Tiny
We
Butthole?
didn't.
I remember like a full like 90 minutes on Kyle's like tiny anus.
Yeah, that was just a separate aside. Probably probably wasn't even the topic of the episode. Anyway,
Your topic was like a Burgerfeld, but like it just like your
It's like a
butthole
weird-
took up 90 minutes out of the 100
for
minutes
how
that
small
is
it
your
is,
podcast.
takes up so much time.
It's probably the butt stuff episode.
Oh, that's probably true. Okay, anyway. They mostly did not do drugs, and this is my favorite stat that I read. Only 8% of people had more than 26 partners in the past year.
Repeat that one?
8% of people that went to cruising areas have slept with more than 26 people in the past year.
26?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but that's only one every
But then
other
I'm part of that
week.
statistic. I've definitely slept with more than 26 people.
In the calendar year.
Oh, in the calendar year.
I don't
Which-
know whether it was calendar
Or
Gregorian,
fiscal year.
No, but in the past year. Who's here has slept with more than 26 people in the past year?
Since January? I don't know, I've been busy.
Like new people?
The fact that you are all like, okay, tell me more about these so-called people. Okay, so yes, more than 26 is what I'm reading from this.
Well, I mean, I don't keep a roster.
Matt, you say it's your turn now. Those are all the numbers I have.
But all right, what? So, all right, you Googled some shit. What are your real world experiences with bathhouses?
Ooh.
Okay, cruising I've never done, like outside, like walking through a park.
Does cruising
or
mean
whatever.
outside?
I don't know.
I feel like we haven't gotten a solid definition yet, but
Do you want to look
I've
that
always.
up, Mike?
Should we each go around and do our own? Like,
Okay.
Because I feel like it's
Definition of cruising?
yeah, it means
Yeah.
different things to different people.
Oh, I picture it as the outdoor in a park scene.
Oh, I do not.
What do you picture as?
I think it's like just like shopping for sex.
Oh, okay. Which
Like,
would include
regardless of context.
Indoor, outdoor, like
gay
you know,
bar, bathhouse,
gay bar,
elementary school.
You got a broader definition.
basically, unless like you're buying drinks first, you're getting to know each other, like that becomes a date. If you're not doing that part, I put that in the cruising category.
I'm just gonna say mine doesn't even have to do with like fucking. Mine's just the like walking around and someone like looks you up and down, and I was like, this has happened to me, but I'm too naive to be like, oh, I should follow you and then we can go fuck. I'm just like, I just got cruised. So like for me, that's always been the long and short of it is like you just get like looked up and down.
Hopefully longer.
Sometimes outside, and sometimes inside.
I think of it as being cruising for sex between gay people, not at a gay venue. It can't be at a gay
Oh.
bar. It can't be at a gay... a bathhouse, for some reason, doesn't feel like cruising to me either. But anytime that you are window shopping for sex, so you can cruise at the mall. Like,
But we
Sure.
you can
Which
cru-
is indoor or outdoor.
So
Yeah.
to you, the movie Cruising has no cruising in it.
no, he's
True.
outside at a
I was very confused about that.
outside
Like,
at a park. He
was already with somebody. They just ended up at the park.
There was cruising at the park, just not with Al Pacino. Like they did show
Oh
some
yeah,
earlier.
no, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Right,
That's
right,
totally
right,
true.
right.
That's totally true. But window
But it's
shopping for
interesting 'cause
sex.
it means something different to all of us, which is
does.
interesting.
Do we have a definition?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, fine.
Here, we'll
Alexa,
Mike, this is what talking to you feels like sometimes.
I'm glad that you're getting it from multiple angles. Wikipedia. Cruising for sex, or cruising, is walking or driving about a locality in search of a sex partner, usually of the anonymous, casual, one-time variety. The term is also used when technology is used to find casual sex, such as using an internet site or a telephone service, which no,
I don't count.
Scruff and Grindr are not cruising.
I mean, in a way,
would you consider print media part of that? Stone tablets, perhaps.
No, that they used to put like
For a
it
good
want
time,
ads?
call Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get sorely disappointed.
I could see that. Like any kind of like looking around for casual anonymous sex. So that would then include bathhouses.
But so, all right, not to toot my own horn here, but my definition kind of fits into that because it's like looking for sex outside of a date scenario.
Matt, what was your segment? We are already lost what
It was
you were
just a
talking
question
about.
your segment.
Yeah,
That's
it's
his
just a
segment.
question.
Oh,
your
you were
segment.
just okay.
No, I want to know if you had any real life cruising experience.
Okay, based on that definition we just heard, yeah. Because I've been to bathhouses. I've sought sex, even though I didn't get it. So I've done the like up and down and like even just like walking down the street and like potentially walking in a similar direction than not. So yeah.
Well, tell me about your bathhouse experience.
Sis? I don't know. Like some of them are great. It depends on the crowd. It's like a gay bar. Depends on who's there.
Put a pin in that because
Okay.
I have a similar feeling on the matter.
Yeah. But like when it's fun, it's real fun and get a lot of dick and that's great. So yeah, it's been really good. It's been okay. It's been horrible because I'm only there because I'm like super depressed and hate myself. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh, my experiences are the exact opposite.
Oh, it's only when you're like really
Do
happy.
tell.
I only
Like, I'm cute. I'm going to go to the bathhouse now.
well a little bit.
Okay.
Like I only go like if I'm feeling fit. But I've only been a handful of times. One was very recently in preparation for this podcast.
Only that's sure. That's
That whole
fine.
thing he just did was an intro to this.
So the times that I'd gone previously were always like when I was like on a date. And like
You've gone on dates to bathhouses?
well, it's like we were on a regular date and then like the topic of bathhouses came up and then we would go to them not necessarily to have sex with each other but just to like explore the scene.
I think every successful date ends with y'all banging someone else.
I've been enough times and it's always been either in an app or someone I know. It's never been like you're just chilling at TGI Fridays and you're like, so I fuck randos.
I would never go to TGI Fridays.
Especially not before a bathhouse. That's true.
Yeah, the food they have there, those mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, unless it's a scat bathhouse.
Yeah. So I do want to tell one story just because, you know, you might have young, impressionable listeners out there. I don't want to like give off like the implication that bathhouses are just all fun and games. A lot of homeless people go to them because it can be a cheap place to stay for a day or more.
Yeah.
So it can attract like that sort of crowd where they're not actually looking for sex or they're just like strung out people who need a place to stay. And, you know, getting a room in a bathhouse is like, what, $16, something like that. But a friend of mine went to Club Z. I've never been to Club Z.
Me neither.
I have.
So he went once and he said that he will never go back again because he was in there walking around. He's a lot younger than me. He was like 23, 24, something like that. He's walking around and there was a guy just like laying like face down on a bench.
Oh, God.
Like not moving, totally naked. And like saw him there and was like, you know, he wasn't like presenting like he was waiting for like anonymous sex. Like
He's sleepy.
yeah, it was like he's like sleeping face down on a bench. So I like walked around, you know, Club Z is like 3 stories, I think.
Really?
I think so.
I've never been.
I mean, the building, I used to live close to Club Z. It's a tall building.
Kyle, you're the expert.
S3, it depends on if you count the little bit of step down into the computer and TV room as a fourth.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, so it's 3 to 4 stories is what.
3.5, yeah.
So like he walked around for like a half an hour, you know, did his thing like in a bathhouse and he came back and like still saw that guy just like laying face down. So like he went and like shook him and was like, "Hey guy, you okay?" No response.
No, don't.
His body wasn't cold though.
Oh God. Okay.
So like shook him and was like, "Hey guy, you okay?" Like no response, and like went to like someone at the front desk. Like there's a guy just like laying down, just not looking good. So like I guess Club Z has a medic. Who knew?
What an interesting job. I want to interview that person.
I want to be the Dr. Crusher of Club Z.
And like the medic went up there, like the guy was still alive, but like he had clearly overdosed on something. And when the medic like woke him up, he just started screaming, like blood curdling, like out of his mind screaming. Ugh. And the medic called 911. It's like, nah, this is like out of my league. Like we need a professional medical examiner, doctor, nurse, whatever in here.
We need some activated charcoal.
Yeah.
Go get so like an ambulance arrived, but like the medics wouldn't let anyone leave the club until they had interviewed everyone about like the behavior of this person. So it's like
shit.
No sex was happening, and like they're just like sitting around like in towels for like 90 minutes while they get this person out on a gurney who's full on like psychosis, screaming. Like they have to strap him down to a gurney. Then everyone inside the club is being interviewed as to like what they did or didn't see concerning this guy.
Boner killer.
Yeah, so like this guy's like, I'm never going to Club Z again.
Actually, I'm really into that. I like him tied down and screaming.
Yeah.
I think of bathhouses as like, if you've ever seen them or seen just like that kind of anonymous sex scene, if you've watched Queer as Folk, like the idea, like sometimes it can be hot, sometimes it can be like it's represented, sometimes it's like, oh, they're hot guys here and I'm looking them and I'm like deciding, like, but a lot of times it's just not that. I have not had anyone die that I was around for,
right.
that you know of.
I feel like for bathhouse status, like I'm super vanilla because like the first 2 times I went, we're on dates, and
I think that's how every first couple bathhouse experiences are. You're like, what am I doing?
Well, I don't want to say it wasn't like first. Well, the one was a first date. One was like a friend with benefit situation. Like we had hooked up before. We went out for drinks. The topic of bathhouses came up somewhere while we were like drinking at CC's.
Yeah, that's the right time.
Then it was like, let's go right now.
Yeah.
And so that's like why we went. But the one time I went in preparation for this podcast was like the only time that I ever went alone.
Oh.
And it is a different experience going alone than on a date. Like you feel like when you got someone to like hold your hand on it, it seems different. And going alone, it's a little, I don't know. You feel like you're in the deep end a little bit more.
Did you feel vulnerable?
I did, but the weird thing about a bathhouse is like there's no, at least I didn't pick up on it, there's no threat of like sexual violence or anything. And everyone in there is sort of on the same wavelength. Like I'm sitting in like, I don't know, the group room where they're like playing porn and there's like a sling in the corner and like a bed over here and a bed over there. And it's like someone was like, making advances like, I'm only wearing a towel. And someone like sits next to me and starts like rubbing against my thigh. And I just said like, I'm good. Like, I'm fine right now. And they just backed off. And it is a little intimidating because, you think it's just going to be this like bacchanal, this like Babylon in there. But people are really respectful of your requests. Like, as long as you're not afraid to be like, to say like, use your words or like use your body language and just be like, I'm good. Because before when I went like on a date, I threw him in the sling and like we were having some fun. And he was like in the sling. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go check and see if our room's ready. Like, just, hold tight. And
the tighter, the better.
When I came back, I was like, did anyone come up? He goes, oh, yeah, but I just, made X's with my hands. And, like, no one bothered him. There is just sort of, like, a sense of harmony. Like, everyone's sort of on the same wavelength a little bit when you go in there. It's like, you're out and about, like, in your normal life, doing your job, and, like, having to conform to, like, other people's frequencies. And when you go into a bathhouse, it's like you're all kind of on the same frequency to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, there's a certain level of, like, harmony in there that, like, everyone's kind of got, like, the same mindset that I can see why it's conducive to blowing off steam. Like, there's not a lot of explaining that you have to do in there. You know, you don't have to put on airs necessarily, I feel like. So
Yeah, it's like a My Little Pony convention.
Just
Everyone is like, we're all adult men that love My Little Pony. We're on the same page.
I don't have to
get
explain
you.
myself over and
I don't have to talk about my lifestyle and what decisions I made. We can just talk.
I can't believe I'm going to say this on the podcast. Mom, stop listening. And like, to back you up a little bit, the last time y'all hung out with me, or I hung out with you, that was a day of bad decisions. I ended up at Steamworks that night.
Oh, bottomless mimosas.
Bottomless mimosas, yes.
Not a bottomless day, I'm going to guess, right?
Well, I was there.
But I got a room and I was hanging out in there and I had the door open. And I was
you're one of those hoes.
Well, no, I just I did many things that night, but one of them that I tried out was the role of the just like, I'm going to be in here with the door open and see what happens. Anyway, dude came in, real gross, had a weird penis, and I gave him the no thank you, which he respected, to your point. But he backed up, did not back out of the room, and then just said, please. And I was like, whoa. Is that supposed to garner sympathy? Like, am I supposed to, like, oh, you're right, I'm down now. Like, what was that supposed to accomplish?
He did ask nicely.
That's the saddest moment I've ever heard of at a bathhouse.
Yeah, that is actually a little upsetting to me.
Wow.
He's just like, I've been rejected too many times today already. I can't have another one.
You clearly have low standards. Let me lower them just enough.
Oh, no.
Ouch.
Mike's mom, tune back in.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
Mike, what did you... Oh, no. You're last.
Brian.
Okay.
Wait.
You have show and tell?
Yeah,
said
you have show and tell.
I'm doing show and tell. So, okay, we can pivot this way. I have zero bathhouse experience. I am a bathhouse virgin.
Do you have any outdoor, or you said like you've done some things of like looking someone up and down?
Yeah, like, and I thought that was the end of it. I thought it was just like, oh, I got checked out, and maybe I'll run into them later at the record store or something like that. Like, I have very romantic, stupid versions. But I work at a gay bar. And at that gay bar, they happen to have lots of porn around. And so I grabbed some.
And dick pinatas.
And a glory hole.
Because there is a certain type of cruising that used to happen if you didn't live in a big city, you had to do personal ads.
So out of a backpack, he just pulled out what looks to be
These are like the magazine Al Pacino pulls out of the closet and cruising.
Vintage porn.
I literally grabbed the top 4. I like didn't even read them, but I've since looked forward. And then these two. So this one also has like a personal section here.
This one looks like Dabney Coleman.
This one that I'm looking at is called the Leather Journal. And I believe it is out of St. Petersburg or somewhere in Florida. But it's all about leather stuff in the late 80s, I figured out.
Will you pick one like of the things to read?
Yeah, so here's some of the personal ads, and they're divided by state. I'm just going to go with...
And there's like, you're looking at 2 pages filled with personal
And that's
ads.
not even all of
like,
it. So
it's giant... Okay.
There's more. So I'm going to read this one from Indiana. It says, Uncut, bearded, blonde, blue-eyed daddy, 5'6", 132 pounds, playroom, live alone with toys, sling, anal, and then TTCBT Stan, and then an address, P.O. Box.
What were those letters?
I don't know. TT is one thing. Total
Top.
CBT. Currently buying tampons and Stan. I don't know what Stan, unless that's his name.
I was gonna say his name is Stan.
But I mean, this is like this is why this is a little bit of a stretch. I was just trying to find like, there's different ways of cruising, and if you didn't have the ability to just walk down the street in 70s New York and like eye someone and be like, let's go to the park, this is what you did when you lived in bumfuck Indiana or whatever. And
you wanted to bumfuck.
And you wanted to bumfuck. You'd like send pics this way. So it's kind of a different way to cruise.
Did you, Ryan, intentionally give me the magazine Super Bitch?
I believe that's an issue of Jock magazine. So yes, they have big arms.
Oh, this is called. Oh, this is not. We're missing the cover.
No, yeah, this is
Oh,
this one's
is this
coverless.
article called Super?
Yeah, I
Bitch?
think so actually.
So I have a copy of Just Men. It's volume 4, number 5, and it is copyright 1985.
Yeah.
I want to talk about how little things have changed because there's an ad for an adult gay porn on the back, and it says summer vacation is winding down, but for Dirk Caldwell, a UCLA sophomore, it's not over yet, especially when it comes to hot physical action with his 6 buddies.
So
Come along on those few hours with Dirk as the cramming heats up to full bore.
So I mean, if you get a chance, read the stories in these because they're long and just like some
You like
of that
the
writing
articles?
is very interesting. Yeah, I get these for the articles.
my magazine is of Dabney Coleman Monthly.
It looks just like him.
Sexy.
Dabney
everyone-
Coleman being the boss in 9 to 5.
Okay, I'm looking at the magazine and I don't get that joke either. So if everyone,
Dabney
But no.
Coleman also in the Muppets Take Manhattan. Just want to
Yeah.
throw that out for anybody who knows that. That's
Oh.
a 2%er.
If you're into buttholes, here you go. All you can eat.
There's one.
that's the old timey equivalent of like just getting an ass pick, and you're like, let's start with your face, work our way down.
There's
I
so
know.
many penises that take up 2 pages.
I'm into this one though.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's one in this one, I think it was, that had an ad to make yourself more butch. Like they have a school to do that for you. Turn yourself into a Leatherman. To femme, turn yourself into a Leatherman. Using our scientific techniques, you, too, can become the butch of your dreams. So if you have a problem, you can't seem to be... So if you have a problem, you can't seem to be as masculine as you think you ought to be. You can sing all the lyrics of Phantom of the Opera and Miss Saigon. You smoke menthol cigarettes instead of a man's brand or any of a dozen other symptoms. Call us today for a cost of only $69.95 per visit. This is like 91. We can utilize our aversion therapy techniques to make a man out of anyone, regardless of gender.
This is in a gay person. Like nowadays, like this would be in a Christian magazine or like a
Yeah.
magazine about streams and forests. But this one is in a gay men's magazine that's like touted as like a benefit. Like, hey, gay men, we'll butch you up. So like the topics that we're talking about today, we've been wrestling with for our entire.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Speaking of wrestling, there's a series of 6 wrestling videos.
that
are
guy's
for
hot.
sale.
Look at that guy.
Oh, that's Jeff Stryker.
Oh, is it?
That is giant dick Jeff
Wow.
Stryker.
Still a person back
Wow.
there?
But he
Way
looks so
before.
young.
Yeah, oh, he's a
Cute,
baby,
yeah.
baby Jeff
Yeah.
Stryker, yeah.
Catalina is the name of the movie, it looks like. I'm guessing from the ad.
Catalina Video.
Oh, Catalina Video. There's one of these that has a really good like cruising an ad for. Oh, here we go. Found it. Okay, so this is also a porno ad, and this is good copy here, and this is on topic. It's the name of the movie is called Caribbean Cruising, and here's what they say about all aboard the naughtiest cruise ship in the world, but it is.
This might be a different kind of cruising.
It is noddist, where there's more cruising on the decks than on the water.
Oh, never mind. I retract.
Manned by a crack squad of able-bodied seamen, the ship plunges into a high seas adventure of sexual conquest that boggle the imagination. Each well-endowed passenger has no trouble finding a private port to dock his dinghy. The sailing gets rough when one tourist forces a young sailor to hit the deck, while the wine steward serves up some vintage juice to a thirsty passenger. When this lust boat drops anchor, the men discover that the only thing hotter than the Caribbean sun are the beach dudes, and they waste no time in partaking of their tropical charms. By the time it's all over, everyone's played captain, only to discover the true meaning of the phrase, running a tight ship.
I'll take 2 tickets, please.
How did we not read this and we'll just be like, writing is over. We're done with writing. The perfect thing that has ever been written has been written. We no longer need it.
If all of the passengers are well endowed, doesn't it just mean for that week they're all just average?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's all a matter of
If
perception.
we're grading on the curve, yeah.
Leave it to Mike to make a boat of giant dicks so sad. Like, did you make that terrible?
Yeah. You're welcome.
Speaking of you being terrible,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about stuff?
Not really.
Okay.
Okay, so I was going to talk about. Okay,
What?
I don't know if I should say his name or not. My friend, who is a sexual force of nature, he's like the sexual Hurricane Katrina. So he cruises a lot, like actual cruising. Like he knows which tree at Discovery Park to be behind, and
Everyone keeps talking about a park by the highway.
And then there's Howell, which is the nude beach, and
Which I've been to during the day, and it's not cruisy during the day. There's
but
families
is it
there.
naked?
Oh yeah.
The families are naked.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Naked families?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Howell Beach, yeah.
It's so chill there, though. Like,
That's upsetting.
no, it's like I haven't been in a long time, but it's like,
I can't handle this.
Mike is
no, I mean, there was naked children running around, for sure.
okay.
Tim and Susie and their 3 and 6-year-old,
Yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
just fucking naked?
Okay,
Yeah.
This is not okay.
And, like, everyone's smoking weed there, and this is before weed was
that's
legal
fine.
in Seattle.
See, I support like healthy sexual
Washington.
discussions amongst families and openness, and we're way too repressed about
But
sexuality.
there was
you cannot go naked with your family to
There
a
was
park.
nothing...
Never okay.
There was nothing sexual about it, though.
Irrelevant.
It
That's
was all just
not
nakedness.
okay.
No, like-
you're too accepting of nakedness, family.
Yeah.
Put some shame around it, just a little bit.
No,
There were cocks and boxes everywhere, and that's not okay.
no, like...
I would not in a box.
It's just chill. Like, you just go because you enjoy being naked, not because the nakedness is part
Sexy.
of sexuality. Yeah.
Weird.
Okay, what if being naked just makes me sad? Would the sunshine help?
Yeah.
Vitamin D.
Okay.
In steam houses, everything's dark, which is I think why I go there when I'm sad, because it's like
I like how you call them steam houses.
steamboats where cruising happens day long.
Look, this guy runs a steamboat.
You
Dude, dude.
He's hot currently. Like, you
Yeah.
know, oh.
It's kind of hard to not focus
I'm
on
still a
it.
little
Maybe we should
obsessed with
turn the
this guy.
porn
Look at
over.
this one.
I guess I'm gonna take a.
I feel like I know that one too.
I'm gonna Instagram
Yeah,
a
he
picture of
wants
the
it,
hot
yeah.
Caribbean cruising guy.
This guy, I can't see what his hand is doing, but I like it.
Actually, I want to see these two do it with each other.
You should get that video.
Okay,
I
Mike.
guess I'm just going to order a tropical heat wave. I can cut this out, right?
It's like a
Send it in.
Yeah.
Am I gonna have to be the one to like say get on topic?
Yeah.
Never happened on Gayish podcast. Has Kyle or Mike told anyone to get on topic?
Well, has anyone else brought porn to this podcast?
Oh, I get it now.
What? I'm not. Can't be the first. Is that true?
We watched porn before.
We watched porn in preparation for a podcast. But no one has brought.
I mean, I showed you that one picture of Matt Hughes so you could see his giant dick. Okay, so I asked because I know that he goes to all these places in Seattle that are cruisy, and
Yeah.
he, like, that boy, he loves bathrooms with trough urinals. Like, he knows where they all are because he wants to just, like, hang out there and watch all the dicks come belly up to the trough.
Okay.
That's like cock slut on a different level.
Yeah.
And like I can even.
That's also he's
fathom.
into like the urine aspect. Has got to be a little bit,
Yeah, it's just it's his thing.
He's
It's
got
his
the
thing.
yellow hanky out of the right pocket.
or tied around his neck.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So I asked him, "How do you know about all of these places?" And he said, "Mostly word of mouth and." Do you know squirt.org?
They put an ad. I think when we talked about our hookup app episode, there was an ad for one called Squirt, and I was like, this is too obvious of a name.
Pass.
No.
Squirt.org. Hot and horny hookups.
Oh.
So you go through, and I for research, it was only for research, got an account earlier, and they ask you the most ridiculous questions, in my opinion, to figure out what they should show you. But they know all of the places. They're like, if this is what you want, here is where you go. And, oh, come on.
So in Seattle, that is in alphabetical order.
Don't tap me, Kyle.
It's all sponsors.
And if you use the discount code Gayish, you'll get one free blowjob upon entry.
If I use the promo code Gayish at this one park, at this one tree.
Everyone will be like, oh, I have to fuck you now, don't I? And you'll be like, yeah. Gayish, that's a marketing promotion.
Kyle, are you tired of going to parks but not knowing which one to go to?
Tell me there's a better way.
Like, I just want to get laid. Maybe squirt.com can help. Click, 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 click.
You're right. It is a website on the internet that you can visit too.
All right, fuck you guys, I'm done.
Wait, what's your squirt.com handle? In case I want to look you up.
Adam 8 Mel.
Okay.
ADAM 8 MEL. which
That's
was
boasting a little bit, isn't it?
I don't have an 8-inch dick, if that's what you're asking. That was my username that I made up when I was still married to my ex-wife.
Okay.
Adam 8, does it stand for anything?
So Adam, the reason I chose that was because I thought it was hilarious that I was looking for my first man. Adam and Eve. Adam was.
No, I got it.
I got it
Yeah.
now. Got it now.
No, I got it.
I forget what the other parts.
Yeah, I
were
was gonna
about.
say you gotta.
Yeah. Okay.
But you'd been on a gay date before you got married.
Yeah, it didn't count. Like, it was
I
terrible.
know you're gonna
And for a
say-
long time, I thought I wasn't gay because that date was so bad.
Really? I'll sleep with someone if the date's not going that well.
Well, okay. I mean,
Like how good does the date have to go?
Mike
before you
needs
sleep with
more,
them?
Matt. Mike needs more.
I mean, the only reason I slept with Ryan was out of like spite to
Spite,
prove someone.
yeah.
Yeah.
okay. All I wanted to say is that if you want to cruise, apparently you don't just have to like hang out and ask people and find out like secret tap code graffiti
Yeah.
tells you. Like,
Yeah, you can
Take an ad
mail
out.
it. Yeah.
there are sources of information out there that can tell you where that you need to go and be and enjoy.
There's
and
a site that it was like, oh man.
No, okay, so yeah, I looked this up. I actually literally Googled cruising at one point because I needed to watch the movie. But also, like, the third or fourth result was like local gay cruising spots in Seattle. I think it was called like gaycruising.com.
I was going to say cruisingintheusa.com. But I
Sure,
don't think
yeah, I mean, I'm
that's
sure
it.
that's a thing too. But it was like it just had a list of like things that were linked to Google Map like pins where you just like can go and then like you could create comments on it if you went there. It's like a Yelp for gay cruising spots, basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
So they're
that
also-
sounds so catty and bitchy.
Don't ever fuck Tommy. He's
yeah,
not good.
Real, yeah, like for real.
He's got the meat, but he doesn't know how to pack it.
For the record, I keep looking over at Mike's laptop, and he's just going back to QWERTY 100 times.
yeah. Why not?
Are you just reading blogs? At
Are you
this
just
point?
reading the news? Mike is bored. Everyone, Mike's got bored.
I'm done. Let's move on.
Well, so
Well, I want to know more about your experience. Mike told me about leaving the door open.
Oh.
What did you do when you were there?
which time?
Any?
Yeah, pick a good story.
Do you
Yeah.
want to go there now together and see what happens?
And then just watch.
Sure.
And do.
And watch and do and see and smell. And one of my
And
best
taste and swallow.
one of the best times I went there with a fuck buddy, just like you. We were like got drinks and then we were like, so
Wouldn't it be funny if
fucking
we...
other people. We both like that, right? Yeah, so we went together and then I think he was in charge. This is my favorite thing, is like leaving someone else in charge of it. I was like, you find someone else. And so like they both fucked me.
Oh.
It was a blast.
Did you have a room or did you do it in public?
We had a room, and so we like when we found someone good, he walked in. I started blowing him, so I think my friend was like, "Oh yeah, this might work," and then they both fucked me.
Huh.
I highly recommend.
Sounds
it.
fun. I'm hard just thinking about it.
Oh,
so.
you're welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies. I just to like also reflect what you're saying. Like that's a really great time. It was a lot of fun. Had like wild sex with people that I wanted to. But also I've been there and just been really like no one wanted to hook up and been depressed with myself and left. You know, like
okay.
so I've had like, and I sometimes go there when I feel my worst too because I want to escape things. So like, you know,
And see, that's the reason I don't go, is because I just can't have those low points. Like, I can't go to. I don't want to run the risk of it being bad. Like, there's a part of me that is like really excited by the idea of going to one because the highs sound really awesome.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've seen like depictions and heard stories where I'm like, that sounds amazing. But I've also, just because I'm a natural pessimist, like thought like, what's the worst that could happen there? And my imagination of what that is just something I don't want to run the risk of. Or really sad sex is another thing where I'm just like, I can't stomach that.
That's what I was gonna say. Like the worst case scenario is I go there because I'm already depressed, and that it doesn't matter what's there, what's happening. I will, when I'm depressed, I will always find a way to be more depressed. So it just makes me even more depressed and like encourages that spin into like a super dark.
Okay, let me throw this out there. I think that I would rather have a really awesome session of masturbating than a mediocre sort of meh encounter with a stranger in a weird place. Like,
I think
really awesome sex to me is that there's connection and you're both really into it in a way that I don't think happens with anonymous strangers in a bathhouse or a park. And I anyway, go, react. Everybody react.
I've had sad sex, so I kind of agree with that.
Ryan, resident sad sex expert.
But I mean, I also understand the need for your fantasies to become reality. So if there's a person who can't, find a relationship with somebody in other means, or like masturbation is just like run its course for them and they need like some human contact, I understand that this is a place that's possible, and that's great. Like I don't want to sound like I'm anti bathhouses because I've never been to one because I think they're gross or anything like that. It's just not my taste. But I think that
How do you know if you ain't been?
Yeah, that's what people say.
But that's what people say about the vagina.
Yeah.
No.
I don't need to go.
Everyone
go
thumbs
there to
down
know.
across the table.
But like but I understand that, and I sympathize with people who need that urge to be satisfied, and sometimes that's the way you do it.
But to me, it's like not even. You're making it sound like, oh, I tried to hook up at a bar and I didn't, like, it's like a last resort kind of. And I don't think it can always be that. Like, for me, some of the fun of sex is the anonymity. Like, I like that aspect to it specifically.
I mean, the time that I went like with a fuck buddy, we easily could have gone back to my place and just had sex.
Yeah.
But like we opted to go to Steamworks instead, and we didn't even have sex with anyone else. We just had sex in front of people. And like to kind of go back to Mike's query, it's not that I like, as a proponent of masturbation, as a frequenter of it,
I've been pro masturbation for years.
No, I think like masturbating by yourself can be fantastic, but like sometimes it's just not scratching the itch that you got. So I wouldn't say that it's like, a one or the other situation. It's like, is it red wine or white wine tonight?
Well, white wine is terrible. It's always red wine.
Like, does that make any sense? It's just like a different activity for the night.
Yeah.
What if I just want to watch? Like,
Well,
You go to the public rooms.
Apparently that's an option.
I'm totes a voyeur. Like, hot people, if you want to bang in front of me, I'm all about
That's
it.
a call,
So-
folks. That's a Twitter call.
when I was there last time, like after I'd already had sex, I still kind of hung around and I wanted to like analyze. I was like, why am I still hanging out here? Like, I already came. I have no business hanging out here. But there was two people having sex in like on a bed in like the group room, and it was just this beautiful like 6'4" African American guy with just like a 10-inch dick going to town on this like little like 5'3" twink bottom boy who was loving it, like wrapped his legs around the guy's waist and was just like pulling him in. And I'm like, that's really goddamn hot to watch.
I'm sorry, it just came everywhere. Oh, Mike, this is terrible. That's on your table.
And if you want to order the porn, order Black and White Cookie, made by the Markson Production Studio.
No, and I was like, you know what? That's just hot to watch. And like they're getting off having people watch them. I don't know if they were a couple. I don't know if they came in together. I don't know if this was like anonymous. I have no clue as to like their backstory in any way, shape, or form. And that's where I started kind of realizing like, oh, we're just like all on the same frequency in this room.
Yeah.
It was a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win.
And I realized like that's why I'm hanging around. It's like I'm in my refractory period. I'm just not ready to call it quits yet.
Okay, so did you come again?
I didn't know. I'm notorious for like just putting everything into round one. Like I can't come again. No.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like let's get lots of short rounds in.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Go all night long.
Round one, and then like I'm gonna sleep for 12 hours.
Interesting. How about you guys?
I do both. giant investment in first, and then short rounds of giant investment in second, giant investment in third.
Kyle, giant investment gets.
I have one giant orgasm, and then my refractory period is like 6 months.
Hey, you're a sexual camel.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That's what I called you at the restaurant. And I'm glad it stuck with Ryan.
Why, you have one hump in your lifetime?
Yep.
Bada bing. Look at that. That's better than all my Star Trek puns.
Should we take a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Yes.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
We're going to do our gayest and straightest.
Wait.
Did
Are we
come
back?
Are we back?
Did we not do that yet?
Are we
No.
back?
We're back. We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Jesus. Okay.
We're going to do our gayest and straightest, but first, our website is gayishpodcast.com.
All the internet stuff is Gayish Podcast. You can find us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, a Facebook group, and it's all Gayish Podcast.
Yep. Our hotline, we get text messages and voicemails. I fucked this up yesterday.
You got text mails and voice messages.
Exactly. It's 585-5-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rate supply.
Whose jacket is that? That's real cute.
Mine.
Oh, it's real cute.
Because I was going to carve the turkey at the head of the table, but then I had to move the podcast.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com. And for our guests here, what do you want to...
X-rated movies. Where can people get the things?
Xratedmovies.com.
And that's EX rated because we used to date and now we don't.
Now we talk about movies.
We also have a Twitter account, same thing, X-rated movies.
If you want to find us on Facebook, they have a thing about EX starting shit, so you have to find us at Rated X Movies.
And you can also send us an email if you want. Send nudes, ex.rated.movies@gmail.com.
x.rated.movies.com at gmail.com. I'm drunk. Lay off!
When you said send nudes of your ex, right?
Sure.
Send your
Send
ex's
any.
nudes.
We won't publish them. This won't be a revenge porn thing. But please send any nudes.
Hey,
if it's of your ex, if it's of yourself, if it's of yourself's ex.
I thought you meant of Ryan's ex, and he's got some hot exes.
I mean,
I've heard of one in particular.
So our friends at Foul Monkeys have multiple giant dick listeners that just send in pics. And I'm very upset about this. Our listeners need to
hey,
get on it.
Foul Monkey listeners, send them some fucking dick pics, you dicks.
Yeah.
Come on. They deserve it. These
I
guys work hard for their money.
I love that you're the bad cop now.
Hey, send some fucking dick pics already.
Ooh, that was so butch.
Yeah, you know that? Okay.
Totes mask.
Okay, let's do our gays.
Let's do our gayest and straightest.
Do one of the guests want to go first?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
The straightest thing I've done this week was just now being Butch Cop. And anybody who wants me to be Butch Cop for them, find me at Ryan Weadon.
It was almost like you were a giant black guy in a jockstrap that was about to beat somebody at the police station.
That's the nicest thing anyone said.
Is the gayest thing your reaction to be called a big black bitch?
Yes! Oh, Matt, you get me. My gayest thing is just the way I reacted to that.
That's fair. Okay, well then I want to go next because my gayest thing is when you got that your Butch voice on, I was like, yeah, that's right.
That's all it takes, huh?
Oh yeah, it's like the taking off a girl's glasses in 90s sitcoms. Like you just put on a Butch voice and I'm like, oh, you're beautiful.
Oh, wow. So she's all that, or love don't cost a thing.
Yeah.
He love don't cost
Yeah.
a thing to you?
Ryan, don't cost a thing.
She let her hair down. She's so hot now.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
it's not in a ponytail.
You took off your overalls and put on a dress. My straightest thing is I was brushing my teeth and I like gagged a little because it got past a certain point and I was like, how do I still have this? I thought I got rid of you long ago, gag reflex.
His toothbrush is a 12-inch dildo.
I'm not putting it past him. That's why
But
I need a
He
little
just
more
puts
information,
toothpaste
Kyle.
on it and
But it vibrates.
flat palms it into his throat.
I'm brushing my teeth.
Okay,
Great.
Matt, what's your gayest and straightest?
Well, my gayest would probably have to be the little Latin twink that I had sex with at the bathhouse. No, it was fun. Like, I didn't want to admit it, but it was fun.
You did not know him before or since.
Right.
Okay.
He only spoke enough English to be like yes, no, and faster.
Great.
So, no, that's like my ideal boyfriend. The strangest thing is I watched a documentary on Roman Polanski and sided with Roman Polanski.
Come on.
No.
Dude, he's a rapist.
No, when you watch it, you'd be like, oh, okay. She brought the Quaaludes. She's like, I'm getting this dick.
Wow.
They're like those documentaries that try to humanize Hitler, and I
No,
like
they
you
love
totally fall for it
pastry.
every time.
This interviewed her. It was strange watching her how she sided with Roman Polanski.
Oh, she did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The victim in the matter sided with Roman Polanski. That she felt that he's been unjustly treated by the American judicial system.
Well, that never happens.
So she's full of shit.
She's been married for 19 years and has 3 beautiful children.
Okay, Mike.
The straightest thing about me this week is that last night some friends came over. Some friends of the guy that was visiting me came over, which more about that later. And Daniel, the man of the straight couple, said, "Hey, I want to watch the LSU game. Can you turn it on?"
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's college football. So
I would not know how to access it, though.
I turned it on and just like found it and totally played it off like it was like, yeah, I totes know where that is, and just
got
like
this
made it
saved.
happen. Yeah. No, actually, it was really hard to find it, but there was football on my TV last night. So
On that TV?
Yeah. It was like we were on the field.
Wow.
But-
For people who don't know,
Football.
it's Mike has a huge TV.
Thank you.
So
Football
I'm just going to say it.
Football is the
I'm seeing it
gayest
right
of
now.
all mainstream sports, though, too. Let's be honest. Like, that has the one with the most butt slapping in it.
It's gayer than MMA.
Well, I mean, MMA is
Game,
pretty
set,
gay,
match. No, it's over.
but no, there's a little bit more brotherly camaraderie in football.
Oh yeah, they like each other's butts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, if anyone's having sex in locker rooms, it's football locker rooms.
The gayest thing about me this week, a boy from Chicago came and we did sexy things.
Oh, this is the one that you got laid because of the podcast?
Because I got laid because of the podcast. That's yes.
Wow. Talk about a reason d'etre for this podcast.
It's you guys could aspire to that, right?
No,
Someday.
we have a podcast because we got laid. You got laid because of the podcast.
Oh,
Backwards!
But you have a boyfriend. Have you gotten laid because of the podcast?
No, I get laid because of my beautiful face.
Oh God. God help
He's
us.
one of those.
He has a face for radio. Okay.
that's it.
That's it. This has been Gayish. A special thank you as always to Charlie Finn for the use of our theme music.
And thank you to the boys of X-Rated Movies, Matt and Ryan.
You're welcome.
And check out their episode where we're on, because it's going to be the best episode they've had this season.
Check them all out, but
mostly
not
yes.
really. Just the ones that we're on.
Well, both of them.
And thank you to Al Pacino
Yeah.
for turning out gay at the end of that movie.
And thank you to Roman Polanski.
For setting the bar so low that none of us will be tried for indecent sex with a minor ever.
Yeah.
Great. This has been Gayish. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you.
See you next
See
week.
you next week.
Bye. Say bye. Say bye.
Bye.
Yes.
Hear me as I will sing. Hey, and by the way, do you hear what your words bring? Oh, P.S. I'm gay.
Watch
We all know
yourself.
from the Little League World Series that all of the Latin boys get mature really early.
Oh no!
Wow.
Oh, tell me you haven't watched the Little League World Series, and it's like all the little American boys, and all the little
never
Japanese
watched
boys,
the
and
Little
it's
League
like
World
the
Series.
6-foot
I've-
Brazilian boys, and they're all 13.
I've never
think
jerked
that's-
off to the Little League series, Mike.
Never.
So it's,
Then you haven't lived.